I thought the Jermell Charlo-Brian Castano rematch was the fight of the year, at least for the first 6 rounds so far. It was better than their first fight, which was really good. But it became apparent in the second half of this fight that Charlo's technique would break down Castano at some point. This go-around, Charlo had more of a determined gleam in his eye, and it's apparent that he does better in rematches. I thought the fight should have been stopped after Castano suffered the first knockdown. Castano was completely out on his feet, and then the referee asked him to come forward, and Castano doesn't respond. And then the referee just steps aside, and Charlo wasn't even waiting in the furthest neutral corner. He's standing there and waiting to pounce. So I think Castano's lucky that he didn't get injured seriously. But he has mad heart. Not a whole lot of power. He lands a lot of these sneaky left hooks and crosses because he's really good at timing. But he doesn't shift his hips and adds no leg drive to his punches. So they're not telegraphed, but this technique also sacrifices power. And that was power. That was the difference here, as Charlo's punches were sharper. He broke down Castano late. I don't see that many weaknesses in Jermell Charlo's game when he's focused. He has great conditioning, late round power. He's going to be a really hard fighter to beat. And I'm hard pressed to come up with someone in the junior middleweight division who can dethrone him. I think Sebastian Fundora is the second best fighter in the division, but he's at least a year away and may never develop the defense or seasoning necessary to take down Charlo. Tim Tszyu is nowhere near ready. So as Marlo Ronaldo said, Iron Man Charlo may rule the 154-pound class with an iron fist as long as he's focused. Now the undercard showed Jaron Ennis in action against Custio Clayton, taking him out with a hard chopping right that landed behind his ear. At first I thought it was a rabbit punch, but it looked like it landed in that sweet spot right behind the ear that totally jacks up the equilibrium. And Clayton looked like he was practicing his swimming strokes on the canvas. Ennis did the same thing to Thomas Delorme in his last fight. He caught him with a hard chopping right that lands with such force it just drives opponents to the canvas. And like the announcer said, I don't think Ennis has lost a round in his career. And I also think that now fighters are coming into the ring intimidated by his power. And Clayton looked like he was just waiting for Ennis to lower the boom. So yeah, if for whatever reason Spence and Crawford doesn't get made, I think Ennis and Spence would be a good consolation prize. I'd like to see that fight. Now this week's From the Archive is a look at a pair of junior middleweights from the early 1980s. Clint Jackson is a former Olympian, winning a bronze medal in the 1976 Olympics. But he took off 3 years from the sport before turning pro, and he became a deputy sheriff in Nashville, Tennessee. So here he's going up against Tony Braxton. Braxton is Dwight Braxton's brother, also known as Dwight Muhammad Qawi. And like his brother, he served time in jail, boxing at Rahway Prison alongside James Scott. So here we have an officer of the law going up against an ex-con.
What I think of my opponent, well, he's a pretty good fighter. I don't really have any plans. I don't really want to tell anybody my plans. I have my plans, and they would just have to watch and see what I do. You know, I'll take care of business.
Clint Jackson, I don't know much about him. I watch the film. I know he need a lot of room to fight, and my strategy tonight is to not to give him that room and make him fight inside. And the fight shouldn't go the distance.
Both boys
Jackson is in purple
shape.
and Braxton in red.
Both boys are apparently in excellent shape.
Tony is the ESPN national champ, and Clint Jackson is the assassin. Number 9 rated by the WBC. 8-0-1 for Braxton, 10-0 for Clint Jackson. Really, Braxton, when he won the championship and also the one before that over Kevin Perry and Al Clay, Perry's match in Atlantic City here and Clay in Chicago. They both went the distance, and both of them, Braxton had to come and have an outstanding 10th round in order to take it.
That's right. He's a good finisher, and he had to in both of those fights. They're just feeling each other out. Not eager to be the first aggressor as far as letting the bombs go.
Talk about long years as an amateur. Clint Jackson, an amateur for 10 years, 191 wins, 15 losses, 140 knockouts. This is a 10-round bout and the feature between Tony Braxton and Clint Jackson. Right hand thrown by Jackson. If you subscribe. And a cut now on the right eye of Clint Jackson. Just above the right eye of Jackson in the purple trunks. The cut has opened just within the last 30 seconds. So Braxton got in there pretty good with a left hand.
Braxton scored well on 2 occasions with combinations to the head.
Looking for the opportunity to throw his right.
Braxton's defending himself very well.
Braxton says his best punch is his left hook, and that is what caused the injury to the right eye of Jackson, but it is not serious at all at this point. It's coming up in late May with Mike Rosman. We're going to talk about that.
Work him, baby. Work him, rip it. Come on. Got a body, Tony. Got a body.
Tony Braxton going in low. Clint Jackson just hasn't shown all that much. A little bit of a cut over his right eye, all closed up now.
Neither boy has unleashed himself yet. Braxton's becoming a little methodical, and he's starting to take the edge, I believe, but ever so slightly.
He just keeps coming right into him, goes in with the head like Smokey Joe, although not quite as low as Joe Frazier.
Well, he doesn't move his...
Third now of a scheduled 10.
Dwight's got to outbox him. But Dwight doesn't seem afraid of his punching power either.
The uppercut, Dwight, is that what you still want to see him use? He continues to say that. Jackson is dropping his hands.
Well, Jackson's dropping his hands and he's dropping his knees, and that might be the appropriate time to come on with the uppercut.
Right hand missed, and that opened up a shot for the left hand for Jackson, but it didn't hit either.
It's the first time he tried to counter him, but he didn't score effectively, but at least he started to make the move.
The veteran Lou Duba in Tony Braxton's corner, and he is as vehement as Dwight Braxton is over there. Also, Ace Murata is in the corner, and Tom Parks is down below, so they've got quite a few people helping out Tony Braxton, and so far they have helped him to a lead in the fight for in the 4th round.
Both of these boys are just feeling each other up, and it's got to explode at any moment now.
Clint Jackson has a long left, but he just hasn't used it at all. His best punch is the uppercut, and he hasn't come close to throwing an uppercut. And of course, the corner would like to see Tony Braxton throw a bit of an uppercut, and he hasn't either yet. He's got him in the corner. That's the neutral corner.
Keep it right there. Keep it right there.
Braxton, I guess, is maybe wearing himself out a little bit, but I doubt it because he can just move around. He's non-stop in every fight that he goes in.
Jim Braxton can go 15 rounds at this pace. This is not... He hit Jackson with a good right hand and got Jackson got mad. Now Jackson's starting to throw punches.
Jackson is a fighter that says he just likes to work on knockouts. He doesn't like to go very far, but he hasn't thrown anything so far as a knockout. Over the top.
Jackson's showing a little more fury, Jim.
Jackson had an unusual up and down combination. Now he is back, and the hit comes.
Got him
good on the right side, and then to the left. It hasn't hurt him all that much, but did stagger him back momentarily. Still doesn't cover up all that much, and he took a good right-handed shot as the 4th round comes to a close.
I don't know whether he's following his corner's instructions, but Jackson is doing very poorly.
Stan Allen and Don Marshall in Clint Jackson's corner.
Jackson appears from time to time to have the moves. But Braxton comes back, and you can't take the heart out of Braxton.
Good flurry. You can almost time the number of jabs and hooks that he is throwing, and crosses as well, and Jackson just covers up, steps back a little bit, then covers up again. Look at the rights and lefts that he throws, and Jackson just not responding, not counter-punching at all. Emmanuel Stewart is also in Jackson's corner, we understand. So he's got some people over there with some advice, and he must be following it. Just isn't working so far. We're in the 5th round of Schedule 10. Jackson dances away. Now he comes out after him. Goes with the right and the left, and right forward and covers up. That's not going to stop Tony Braxton. He's going to continue to come at Clint Jackson.
You know, he may have a lot left, and he may have enough punching power to hurt Braxton, but I think he let too many rounds slip by.
There are 5 more rounds left. Tony Braxton has controlled the fight so far, and again, Lou Jackson backs into the corner and now pops back out again. Pretty good left hand. A miss with a wild left by Tony Braxton.
Good right hand by Tony.
They are calling for a knockout behind us. They figure that maybe he's got him in some trouble, and indeed, Jackson is somewhat glassy-eyed, and the cut is open once again. I don't know if he's ready to be taken out yet or not. But certainly, Braxton has not led years off to a great start, but in definite trouble against the ESPN tournament champion, Tony Braxton. And we have concluded the 8th round. Hook that landed, but not all that much from Jackson. Braxton with a pretty good right hand and a cross after a lead from the left. Uppercut won't go. Works to the body, works to the head, the left hook, and just won't let him go. And Jackson just can't get away from him, and he can't start an offense either.
Braxton can smell victory, and he's going.
He's got a lot of people behind him. We are very near his corner here. He has an entourage of 4 or 5 yelling encouragement to him. On the other side, it's been pretty quiet. Tony Braxton, the Express, a non-stop fighter. Jackson in purple, 10-0. He is undefeated. As a pro, had 140 knockouts in 206 fights, which he won 191 of as an amateur. But Tony Braxton has just put it
got
to
him hurt. Braxton's hurt him with some of those belly shots.
The right eye is closing, it looks like. Clint Jackson's right eye, and he is in trouble, and he got tagged right on the eye with the right and the left. Tony Braxton with a jab to the cross. Great right hand crossed at him, and the fight has been stopped. And what a great fight fought by Tony Braxton. The winner, as the fight is stopped in the 9th round. Tony Braxton with a little bit of a nosebleed, but Clint Jackson, the right eye closed up, and Tony takes him out in the 9th round.
So 2 questions for the mailbag this week. This one's from Foxy Bingo 111. How highly do you rate Kostya Tszyu as a champion, and how do you think he would have fared against other historical light welterweight champions? I rate Tszyu in the top 3 of junior welterweight champions of all time, just under Aaron Pryor and Julio Cesar Chavez. Tszyu had a solid 9-year run. He was a monster way back, say, in 2000 and 2001. He took out Sharmba Mitchell and Zab Judah, and they were pretty good fighters in their prime. Tszyu has that one loss against Vince Phillips where he ran out of gas. And by the time he fought Ricky Hatton, his last loss, he was pretty up there age-wise, and he was struggling with a bad shoulder. So I'll forgive him for that one. And considering his longevity and level of dominance, I rank him over everyone except Aaron Pryor and Julio Cesar Chavez. How would he have fared against the greats? I think he beats most everyone aside from those 2. I think he beats Nicolino Loche and Antonio Cervantes on points in 12-round fights, because Tszyu really only had trouble against pressure fighters. I think he gets outlasted by Aaron Pryor, but Tszyu had power, so he may be able to knock down the Hawk a few times. I think he loses to a prime Julio Cesar Chavez. You know, he defeated Chavez in 2000, but Chavez was way past his prime. So other than those two, I think Tszyu defeats everybody else who made the junior welterweight class their primary division. Next question from Awestruck Audio Hertz. How do you think Usyk would fare against Tyson Fury? I would still give Fury the edge and think he would outpoint Usyk. Fury wouldn't fall into Usyk's frame. Usyk has a huge edge in ring generalship over. He's had a huge edge in ring generalship over all of his opponents thus far. He controlled the action against Anthony Joshua, for example, and made Joshua react to whatever he did to the point where, at the end of that fight, Joshua was just following him around the ring. But Fury wouldn't fall into that kind of trap. Fury's IQ matches Usyk, if not surpasses it. He would force Usyk out of his comfort zone, forcing him to lead in some rounds, and then the next round, Fury would, force him back on his heels and just get in his head. So I think he beats Usyk at his own game, and he'd be a bad style matchup for Usyk. But, it's still a fight I'd want to see. So I got a bit held up this week, and I didn't release any new documentary-style videos. I'm working on one right now, and it's a pretty extensive piece. So maybe I'll release it later on tonight or tomorrow night at the latest. So please be on the lookout for that. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.